There was a little bit of a mistake there, so I'll just pick up the second part of the video where I was. We were looking at the descending fifth sequence, and I was about to play you this musical example and explain how the tritones work. So let me find this spot. This is sort of like a retransitional moment in the piece. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. Here we go, right here. And then we're back in F major. So this has all the hallmarks of the descending fifth sequence. One, notice how the roots of the chords, E7 to A7 to D7, G7, C7, and then to F. Notice how the bass, these are all in root position. Notice how the bass goes up by fourth, down by fifth, up by fourth, down by fifth, up by fourth. Has that, also has, if you look at my brackets here, it has, notice how the idea keeps moving down by step. Right, that would be all those giveaways. The only thing that's new about this is the fact that every single chord is altered to be a major minor seventh chord. And like I mentioned, what will happen in this case is that you're going to get these tritones that keep sliding down by half step. I've circled them here. G to D, sorry, G sharp to D, G to C sharp, F to C, F sharp to C, sorry, F to B, E to B flat, and then we resolve it in. So if you ever encounter these tritones that are moving down by half steps, that's the unique feature of this. Keep in mind though, like I mentioned, you don't have to, if you're going to use some secondary dominants in this sequence, they don't have to all be major minor seventh chords. All right, so there's an example of the descending fifths. Next up, the descending third sequence. Now you remember that's the Pachelbel canon D1 though. So what we're going to do here is we're going to incorporate some secondary dominants. Now the reason that this one's kind of unique in that the root pattern is going to change a little bit. For the normal one, the diatonic one, it is down by fourth, up by second. But in this case, we're going to alter it. It's now going to be up by third, down by fifth. So up by third, down by fifth. Up by third, down by fifth, up by third, down by fifth. And therefore what we're going to do is that the second chord in each case is going to be a major minor seventh chord and will be the 5-7 of the next chord. All right? So here's an example of this from a Beatles track. This is one of my favorite examples of this because it's so textbook, from the song You Never Give Me Your Money. So we're going to go C, E7, A minor, C7, then we do the 4-5-1. Okay. Notice how the melody moves down by thirds. Right, if you take a look at the models and the copies. Let me play this for you. So again, what's unique about this one is that we actually do change the root pattern a little bit. But the chords on the downbeats are still the same one. They're still going down by thirds. So it's still a descending third sequence. And it really does sound very similar to the diatonic one. Let me fast forward a little bit. I only give you my situation. I'll just stop it right here. By the way, this sequence you're hearing is also a descending fifth. All right, there we go. Now finally, the ascending step sequence. Now you'll recall that this has the root pattern of down by third, up by fourth. Now luckily this does not change at all here. The only difference is that the chords on the offbeats are going to be altered to become applied chords. In fact, in the repertoire, you actually find this chromatic version more commonly than you do the diatonic one. All right, so I'll play you this in a second, but Notice that, I guess this starts around here. Well, this actually starts on the weaker beat chord, I suppose. So that's up by fourth, down by third, up by fourth, down by third, up by fourth, down by third, that kind of pattern. The only difference is that notice that on these weak beats, we're getting major, minor, seventh chords. So each one's kind of like the 5 of the next chord. Now, this is also the option where we put the weak beat chord in first inversion, and therefore we get this nice stepwise bass line. Here, a chromatic bass line. So it goes, actually, let me just clunk out the chords here. C6, F, D7, both the F sharp and bass, G, E6-5, A minor, and so on, kind of ends around there. So the bass has that essential pattern. So, you know, the only difference between this and the one we learned before, the one before would have been this. All right, hear how that one sounds a lot weaker. This one, on the other hand, with the chromatic bass, you'll probably recognize that one a lot more in the repertoire than the diatonic one, which sounds a little weak. All right, now rather than practice on this together, I'm actually going to give you these 2 examples on the next page as part of your homework, okay? So these will be things that you analyze on your own and send in to me as part of your homework. Bracket the model in copies, label the chord roots and position, and identify the sequence for both of these, all right? Both of these should kind of really stand out immediately from what we just talked about. They're pretty straightforward. Okay, there we go.